Chapter 15, Purushottama Yoga, Yoga of the Supreme Person. So here, let's see the connection. Chapter 14. Chapter 14 was all about gunas, right? Mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance. And in the end, Lord has told us how we can transcend the effects of the three gunas. And if we can do that through bhakti, we can achieve the goal, which is going back to Godhead. So he also said if we get into devotional service and exclusive devotion, that is the best way to transcend the three modes. Otherwise, other ways are there, but that's very difficult. This is the easiest way. It is told by Lord Krishna. And how to practice that? Lord Krishna says you have to detach your mind from the material world and attach our mind to the Lord. That is the best way to do it. In this chapter, this is a very small chapter of 20, but very, very deep again, like Bhakti Yoga 20, and all the shlokas are spoken by Lord Krishna. And in this chapter, Lord Krishna is, so far he has been giving some theoretical knowledge to Arjuna. So Lord Arjuna understood that, but now Lord Krishna is going to explain to it graphically. Nowadays we have got 3D movies, how we can see it completely. Like that, Lord Krishna wants to show the proper picture to Arjuna so that he can understand the nature and develop detachment from this material world. So he says that, we should move out from this material world and go towards the spiritual world by two things, which is we have to detach ourselves and then surrender to Lord Krishna. And then he's telling about himself. He says what his position is. He is the supreme controller. He is the maintainer of the world. He is the destroyer. And the summary of Vedanta Krit and Vedanta Vit. He is going to talk about that. And also we will learn about the essence of knowing Krishna so that we can seek his shelter. So let's see the first shloka. Shri Bhagavanu Vacha Urdhva Moolamadash-shakam Ashwatham Prahuravyayam Chamdamsi Yasya Parnani Yastam Veda Savedavit. Hare Krishna. Charu Mataji. I cannot hear you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, it is said that there is an imperishable banyan tree that has its roots upward and its branches down, and whose leaves are the Vedic hymns. One who knows this tree is the knower of the Vedas. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. As you can see in the picture also, Lord Krishna is comparing this whole material world to the tree that you can see. The tree is an upside down Ashwatha tree, sacred fig tree. So you can see the upside, the reflection, the entanglement. We are entangled in this material world, and that has been compared to this kind of banyan tree by saying Urdhva Moola Madashakam. Urdhva Moola. Urdhva Moola. Moola is like root. The roots of the tree are Urdhva, means above. The roots are above, right? It is growing up. Urdhva Moola. Moola means root, Urdhva means up. I'm trying to explain through the shloka to you. So Madhashakam. Shakha means branch. Madha means down. So branches are down, the roots are up, as you can see in the reflection. The roots are up and the branches are down. That is the situation. That is the reflection of the spiritual world. The material world is a reflection of spiritual world. So Urdhva Moola Madhashakam. The branches are down and the roots are up. So branches are down, Ashwatham, means the banyan tree, Ashwatha tree. Ashwatha tree is the banyan tree. Urdhva Moola Madashakam Ashwatham Prahuravyayam Chamdamsi Yasya Parnani Yastam Vedasa Vedavit. So twigs, the twigs are the objects of the senses, where the senses will go, right? So twigs will be, the senses are moving towards the twigs. Those are, the analogy is given as twigs. Tree, the tree of this material world is nothing but a reflection of the real tree, the spiritual world. Just as the tree's reflection is situated on water, here as you can see it is situated on water, the material reflection of the spiritual world is situated on desire. There is a desire, and no one knows where it begins, Where it ends, nobody knows. So this whole tree is nourished. How is it nourished? By the three modes of material nature, because we are completely bound, tied by these three modes of material nature. So we have to be very careful. It's a duplicate one, like you can see the Gucci one. The authenticity and the false one, we can't even make out which one is the false one and which one is the authentic one. The whole world looks, it's a look alike. It's a reflection. Everything has a duplicate. So the material world is the reflection of the spiritual, or you can call it the duplicate. Let's see now. How does the root of this banyan tree grow?
Upwards.
Upwards. Very nice, Mataji. You were listening. Hare Krishna. The twigs of this banyan tree are considered to be
The different modes of nature.
It is nourished by different modes of nature.
The sense objects.
Sense objects, correct. The objects of the senses are the twigs. Correct. So you can see this is the desire, and you can see, and Krishna has used this, you can see the whole scene. He has used this metaphor of an upside down Ashwatha tree. Where is the Ashwatha tree? It has the roots in divine Brahma. You can see the Brahmaji sitting on the roots, right? If you see the picture properly. And the trunk, all the trunk, it is moving downwards. Lot of branches spreading around. And you can see on the branches, what can you see on the branches of this mysterious tree? All the embodied souls. They are wandering, they're moving up and down from lifetime and lifetime, millions of lifetime. There are leaves over there, and you can see on the leaves, it is written Vedic hymns. The Vedic mantras, on the leaf it is written. So leaves are the Vedic hymns or Vedic mantras. And if we, by understanding these mantras, what happens? We will be able to cross the tree through our consciousness, and then move upwards. Every time we learn more, we get more knowledge, we are moving above, ahead, through the branches, through the trunk, till where? Till the root. And if we cross that river of desire, you can see who is standing beyond the river. Our Shyam Sundar. So if we can if we want to disentangle ourselves, disengage ourselves from this tree, what do we have to do? We have to cut it down. Cut it down with what? There are two D's. One is detachment and one is determination. Just to go to another D and cross another D, which is desire. So you can see overall we can have three D's. One is we have to disentangle ourselves with determination. And what is the weapon that we will use to have that? Weapon of detachment. To cross what? Desire. And seek whom? The shelter of the Lord. Very easy, right? So we want to cross this. So what to do? We have to have determination. Then what is the weapon we will use? Detachment. To cross what? The river of desire. And reach where? The Supreme Lord. Yes? So the tree of this material, otherwise there is no end. Whoever gets attached to this tree, there is no possibility of liberation. You will keep moving up and down, because trees' roots are growing upwards. They are beginning from where Lord Brahma is sitting. He is located over there, at topmost planet of the universe. And we can understand this indestructible tree of illusion, full of Maya. Then slowly, with gaining knowledge, we can get out of it, right? So this Ashwatha tree of knowledge is a metaphor used by Lord Krishna, so that we can search for the divine. What is compared as the leaves of banyan tree? What is on the leaves?
Vedic hymns.
Yes, Vedic hymns. If we understand the Vedic hymns, we move forward. With dash, one should cut off this tree with the weapon of dash.
Determination and detachment.
Correct. So two D's, determination and detachment. Very good. So let's move on. Who will read now? Kirti Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji. The branches of this tree extend downward and upward, nourished by the three modes of material nature. The twigs are the objects of the senses. This tree also has roots going down and these are bound to the fruitive actions of human society. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Because this is such an important point. So every time we are trying to stress on this point, that description of this banyan tree has been again further explained, that branches are spreading in all directions. In the lower end of the branches, all the different manifestations of this life, like animals, beasts, human beings, all these, they are all situated down. So you can imagine how long it will take us to reach the root where Lord Brahma is sitting. And then we have to cross the river of desire also. So these are all situated on the lower parts of the branch. Whereas on the upper parts, who are there? All the devatas, Gandharvas, all these higher species of life, they are situated on the higher part of the tree. And the tree, as any tree, is nourished by water, right? So this tree is nourished by three modes of material nature. What are the three modes of material nature? Modes of goodness, passion, and ignorance. Because we are bound, we are tied by these three modes of, and this mode of nourished means what? Maya keeps saying, come, enjoy me, come on. It is pulling us down. But we have to move up beyond this modes of material nature, right? Anybody who remembers what are the three modes of material nature?
Mode of
Tattva,
passion,
Tamas,
ignorance.
Correct. Very nice. From where does this get its nourishment from?
From
This
the
tree.
three modes of material nature.
Excellent. Very good. Very true. Three modes. It keeps saying, come to me. Hare Krishna. Gauri Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji. The real form of this tree cannot be perceived in this world. No one can understand where it ends, where it begins, or where its foundation is. But with determination, one must cut down this tree with the weapon of detachment. So doing, one must seek that place from which, having once gone, one never returns, and there surrender to that Supreme Personality of Godhead, from whom everything has begun and whom everything is abiding since time immemorial. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So let's leave this temporary material planet and go to the, like how it is written. One must seek that place from which, having once gone, one never returns. What is that place where once we go, we need not come back? What is that place?
Goloka Vrindavan.
Goloka Vrindavan, permanent abode. So, very clearly it is stated that banyan tree cannot be understood in this material world. It's very difficult to understand because we are so much entangled in this expansion of the tree. We do not even know where it is ending, how far it is extending, where is the beginning, where is the end. Because it says, na rupamasye tato palabhyate, na anto, na chadir, na pratishtha, na anto. We don't know the ant also. And some pratishtha, we don't know where the foundation is, where it is lying. Ashwattamenam suvirudamulam, asanga shastrena dhrinena chitva asanga shastrena. So we have to just move away. So one cannot understand what it is because we don't have that knowledge. We haven't gained that knowledge. What knowledge do we need? What kind of knowledge do we need to understand? We have to ask ourselves. What to ask? What are the questions we need to put towards ourselves? We have to understand, how can I free myself from this reflection? How to get away from this? Simple. The answer is given over there. By understanding what our correct destination is. By going to a place where we need not come back. And that correct destination is?
Golok.
It is Goloka Vrindavan. The correct destination that we have to go is to our permanent abode, right? It means that we have to understand where we are living right now is just like we are living in a hotel. It's very temporary. It's you don't live in a hotel forever, right? You just go there, you stay for some time, then you pay the bill and you have to come out. And once you come back home, you say, oh, home, sweet home, we say, once we come home. Similarly, we are living in a hotel, temporary place. We have to go back to our home, back to Godhead. So for that, what is it that is required? Control. We think we are the doers. We have to give up that lordship. I have to think that, okay, I am not the owner of anything. We have that ownership thing in our, we have to stop thinking like that, that we own everything over here. If we understand that, if we get this knowledge that detachment is the weapon, right, to cut down the tree, and that also has to be done with determination, because we lack determination. 1 day, 2 days, we will do very nicely. 3rd day, it's gone. So that weapon of detachment should be consistent with determination. And we have to understand we are all suffering over here, right? So what to do? That's the only cause, right? Why we are all suffering here? Because we are attached so much. And then it will make sense to us that we have to cut down the tree with our detachment, right? So what will happen? We will find the base of the root where Lord Brahma is sitting over there. And then we can cross the river of desire and go to Supreme Personality of Godhead. And we will understand he is the original root from where everything has come. And then slowly with devotional service, with surrender, by doing all 9 processes of devotional service like Shravanam, Kirtanam and all that, then we will be able to understand. So there is a way, one is God's way and one is my way. God's way, you can see on the screen, it is the next exit. And my way, you keep on going, there is no exit. So we have to choose. Should it be my way? Then we'll continue to come back again and again and again. There is no end to it. Or we can choose God's way, which is right next exit, right? But our way has no exit, because we will continue in the cycle of birth and death. So you can see, you can make your choice, material world or spiritual world. You can see in the screen, spiritual world, eternal bliss. There is no birth and death. No need to keep crying, oh my God, somebody had died, or I am going to die, or I am suffering with so-and-so diseases. Oh, I am getting so many aches and pains. No need. Complete blissful life. You just have to look at the tree and say, I want this mango, and that will be in your hand. That kind of life you will be leading. It so says, okay, I have not experienced, I don't know. Material world is repeated birth and death and misery. Once we understand that, Lord Krishna will describe, in further how illuminated this spiritual planet is, his spiritual planet. And he is asking us to come back. Come on, like Maya keeps saying, right? Come to me, come to me. Lord Krishna is also saying, come to me, come to me. Because he says you are in a temporary home, like a hotel stay. You have to pay the bill, right? And then again, you have to leave 1 day after paying the bill. So why don't you come to my place? You don't even have to pay anything. And what does he say for that? Let's see. He says, Natad bhasayate suryaha, na shashanko na pavakaha, yadgatva na nivartante, tadhama paramam mama. Sushma Mataji, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Okay, Sushma Mataji is not there. Kirti Mataji, Hare Krishna.
I will continue, Mataji. Hare
Yeah.
Krishna. Spiritual world, that a body of mind is not illuminated by the sun or moon, nor by electricity. One who reaches it never returns to this material world. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna. So Lord Krishna is telling about his abode. What does he say? Natad bhasayate suryaha na shashanko na pav. No sun, no moon or fire is required to light up my place. As this material realm where we are living, it is by Maya, it is created by material energy. It has got so many defects, so many dualities, happiness, sorrow, so many, right? Divine realm, it's created with Yoga Maya, means spiritual energy. So it is completely divine, perfect. And it is also described as Sat, Chit, Anand, full of bliss, full of knowledge, full of eternality. So Lord Krishna is telling Arjuna that a soul who will attain this abode, spiritual abode, so he will reside forever in this spiritual realm, and he will be perfect in every way, right? So those people will be away from the cycle of birth and death. No need to sit and cry that I'm dying or somebody has died, because eternally you will be living over there and having all kinds of happiness. Like, in material world is very temporary. In stories they show, right, how they lived forever, happily forever after and all that. That is the situation we'll face once you go to spiritual world, because everything is perfect. We are dealing with perfect people over there, right? So ultimately we'll be very, very happy, because that will be our permanent home sweet home, we will say. What is enjoyed by living entity after reaching the abode of Krishna?
Eternal bliss.
Eternal bliss.
Sure.
Eternal bliss.
All of the
All of the
above.
above.
Yes, you will have everything. You'll have knowledge also, you'll have life also, you'll have bliss also, everything. Lord Krishna says you
All
will have
of the
over
above,
there.
Mataji.
So that abode of mine, look at that Krishna's abode. This is how it is going to be. He says it is self-luminous. Self-luminous means you don't have to pay any electricity bill. You don't need a sun or a moon over there to light up. It's already there with the Lord's effulgence. Lord's effulgence is so much that you don't need separate light or anything. In Golok Vrindavan, all the planets are,
Self-luminous.
yes, everything. No need for anything. So let's see this. Mame vamsho jivaloke jivabhutas sanatanaha manashasthani indriyani prakritisthani karshati. Who will read this? Sunaina Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. The living entities in this conditioned world are my eternal, fragmental parts. Due to conditioned life, they are struggling very hard with the six senses, which include the mind. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. 5 senses we already know. 6th one includes the mind. So Lord Krishna is saying that, all the living entities, they include not only human beings, cats, dogs, all the animals, everything. Even the demigods or the devatas who are living on higher planets, along with Lord Brahma also. All other, Lord Krishna is saying, they are all my part and parcel. They are all like sparks, as you can see in the screen. The fire is there. From the fire, you get sparks. The sparks are all the living entities. He says they are all karshiti. Karshiti means what? They are all struggling. They are grappling very hard. It's very important to understand that we are all conditioned souls. We are bound up by this material energy. It is like, somebody shackles you with an iron chain. How will you feel? As you can see in the screen, that the hands are both bound up with the iron chains. You're not free to do what you want, right? You're not completely free. You can just move a little bit. That's it. Not completely. Why? Because you're bound up by your own false ego. The mind is the chief agent behind it. And it is driving this material existence. So because when the mind is in goodness mode, we do good activities. When it is in passionate mode, then we do all kinds of, troublesome things. And when the mind is in the mode of ignorance, you can imagine, we get very low energy and we go down completely in the lower species of life. So Lord Krishna has already explained how his spiritual world is. And if we go to his abode, we don't even have to come back. After understanding this, Lord Krishna is still telling us that even though those who are present in this material world also, they are my part and parcel only. He says, Mame Vamsho, Mame Ansho. They are all my Ansha only. He's not like leaving us. He's not trying to say we are orphans or anything. He says, I am your Aham Bija Pradav Pita. I am your seed giving father. He has never abandoned us. He says, you are my Ansha. You are my fragmental part. The moment we understand that, we can wake up to our real identity. Our real identity is what? We belong to Lord Krishna. We are his part and parcel. Then life will become blissful. We just have to take this decision that I belong to Krishna and Krishna. Aham Bija Pradav Pita. He is my father. Then Lord Krishna is further explaining how soul transmigrates, and what happens to the mind and the senses. Let's see that. Yes, who will read this now? Gauri Mataji, would you like to read?
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna.
The living entity in the material world carries different conceptions of life from one body to another, as the air carries aroma. Thus, he takes one kind of body and again quits it to take another. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. See, you can see, as air carries aromas, Here, Lord Krishna has given the example of the breeze, the air, to explain this. Everywhere I can see that in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna is giving such practical demonstration, and he's in this chapter 15 is completely graphical explanation. He's giving analogies, he's giving explanations, he's giving comparisons. Here he has given the example of the breeze to explain the process of transmigration of a soul from one body to another. How, what is the similar thing he is telling, analogy? Similar to the air or breeze, you can say anything. How it carries the fragrance of flowers. It carries right from one place to another. Okay, we can smell. Wow, nice fragrance, we say. Similarly, upon death, this body, the body, what happens? The soul. What does the soul do? It carries the subtle and the causal bodies. These two that include senses and mind. These are the things. The subtle body is like, mind, intelligence, and the false ego. It takes all this and moves on. So when the material body dies, the soul continues to carry. The soul doesn't die, right? We know that from chapter 2. So soul continues to carry the mind along with the experiences of its past lifetimes, from its former body to the new one. That's what Lord Krishna is trying to explain over here with the example of the air, how it carries aroma. Who is not affected by either by the creation or the destruction of the material world?
One who develops spiritual qualities.
Excellent, very nice. Yes, let's read that. Cycle of reincarnation. Kshotram chakshusparshanam cha rasanam granam eva cha adhisthayam anashtayam vishayanupasevate. Hare Krishna. Charu Mataji, would you like to read?
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
The living entity, thus taking another gross body, obtains a certain type of ear, eye, tongue, nose, and sense of touch, which are grouped about the mind. He thus enjoys a particular set of sense objects.
Hare Krishna. See, you can see that how it takes another gross body, right? Accordingly. So if a living entity pollutes or impures his consciousness with the qualities of cat, dog, any kind, or rat or anything, in next life we will get that body only and enjoy. So that is why, even if you remember our grandparents and before that, they always used to say good things, say good things, see good things, hear good things, talk properly, don't talk rudely like this, don't use wrong words, don't use abusive words. Generations have changed and people don't no longer believe in that. But that's how we were taught. So why? Because it impures our consciousness. And if consciousness gets the qualities of cats and dogs, we will get that life next time. So see, consciousness originally is very pure. It's as pure as water. But if you put some color in the water, what happens? It changes. Similarly, consciousness is pure. But what happens if we start putting something like it, because of the mode of material nature, we get into different sensual pleasures and other mode of ignorance and all that. What happens? It becomes impure. What is the real consciousness? It is Krishna consciousness, that he is my seed giving father, I belong to him. That is the original statement. But what happens if we are in Krishna consciousness? Very well and good, it's a pure life. But when it is adulterated by material mentality, we get envious, we get jealous, we get competition is there, then status comes in, then we get into bad habits, drugs and all that. Then what happens? We become completely low in our consciousness, and in next life we will get corresponding body accordingly. It does not have to be a human body all the time, right? We can get any body out of the 84 lakh species. We don't know what we'll get. So we know one thing, that change is inevitable. We know that much very clearly, right? So we have to start thinking now. Are we changing for good, or are we changing just and falling down? That is one thing consciously we have to start thinking. This is the question we need to ask every night before we sleep. What have I done? At least do 3 good things before in a day. And this at the night you start introspect yourselves Did I do well or not? Like in this connection, I always talk about Tulsidas story, who, those who realize the mind and the senses are the culprits. They are the cause of bondage. And if we break free from that and turn away from that and towards God, then everything will become perfect, right? So what happened, Tulsidas, who was the author of Ramayana, once when he was a young person, he was very much in love with his wife. So she went to her parents' house for a few days, but he couldn't stay away from her. He was so much in love with her. So where was the house? House was just across the village. She had to cross the stream to go to the another village. So one night she wasn't there, and he was really missing her. He wanted to go and meet her just that moment. But the weather was very bad, and he was feeling very restless. He said, no, come what may, I just want to go. He decided to go. So he went. He couldn't find any boatman to be able to cross the stream and go and meet her. So it was night. He couldn't see anything, storm, thunder, lightning. And he said, okay, fine. He found something floating by. He could swim, but he held on to that, and he crossed the stream. He went. Now he didn't want to go through the main door because parents are all sleeping. What will they think about him? He's coming in the middle of the night, and he has got so much this thing for his wife and all. They might think something. Then he looked up. He knew which one is his wife's bedroom. He saw something over there. He said, okay, I think I can just climb up. He saw a rope hanging down. He took that rope. He climbed up till the window, and it was on the second floor. He thought of, first he thought of calling her, but then he saw the rope, so he went up. He got up and went up to her room. She was very much surprised, astonished, shocked to see him. Said, how did you manage to come at the middle of the night in such a weather? So he pointed towards the window. He said, I've come like this. There was something hanging. I held on to it and I came to you. Both of them peeped down. They both were like shocked to see that it was not a rope, it was a snake. And what Tulsidas assumed was a log, was a dead body. That dead body was floating, and he held on to it. His desire to meet his wife was so intense that it actually blinded him completely. She was furious. So what is it that she kind of shouted at him. He said, you desire me? A body made up of flesh and blood? You desire me? If you would have same kind of desire, intense desire for God, you would have attained him by now. You would be free from this cycle of birth and death. That's what she said. And her words made a life-changing effect on him. He left home. He renounced the householder's life. He took sannyas. He went. He took up devotion. He detached himself from all this material pleasures. There's detachment with determination. The 2 Ds he used. He detached himself from material pleasure, and with determination, he engaged towards the devotion of God, got rid of all the desires, the 3D, and then he went on to become a great saint. And he wrote, as a lustful man desires a beautiful woman, and a greedy person desires wealth, may my mind and my senses constantly desire Lord Ram. That's what he said. So this is a great lesson for us. What must one do to get out of the entanglement of this strong banyan tree?
Surrender to Krishna.
As that, right? With 3 Ds. What are the 3 Ds? Anybody remembers?
Detachment,
Determination, desire, overcome the desires through determination, using the weapon of detachment.
Excellent, excellent, Mataji. Very nice. Yes, let's read this next one. Sushma Mataji, will you be able to read?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
The foolish cannot understand how a living entity can quit his body, nor can they understand what sort of body he enjoys under the spell of the moods of nature. But one whose eyes are trained in knowledge can see all this. Hare Krishna.
That is Hare Krishna. Vimudha nanu pashyanti jnana chakshusha. We need that word jnana chakshusha, without that divine knowledge, We cannot understand how we are living in this body, what form of body we are going to get in the next life, why we are living in that particular kind of a body, what did we do that we have attained this body. We won't understand unless and until we have those divine chakshu, jnana chakshu, or knowledgeable eyes. So those who have developed that kind of spiritual knowledge, they can see that the spirit soul is different from the body, and it is changing its body, and it is enjoying in different bodies and different ways, right? So those who are ignorant, Lord Krishna says, the foolish cannot understand how they are quitting. The foolish person can be compared to this newbie car mechanic, as you can see in the picture. He can be, ignorant fool can be compared to a newbie mechanic who's trying to figure out how the car moves. He looks at the movement of the wheels, he traces it back to the accelerator, then he goes to the steering wheel, and he goes to the ignition switch. And then what does he conclude? He comes to a conclusion. Yes, all these are the parts that makes the car move. But he missed the main important point. What is that? Who will turn on the ignition? And who is going to move the steering wheel? Unless a driver operates the car, it would not move. This is the analogy given just to make us understand. That's it. So only someone who has got that spiritual knowledge, that person will understand that it is a soul that is giving life to the body, right? Without the soul, the body is lifeless. If person dies, the material parts of the body, all the organs like lungs, heart, kidneys, liver, limbs, and all that won't function because the soul has left the body. And consciousness is an indication of life or the presence of soul in the body. When soul departs, consciousness ends. So those who have acquired the eyes of knowledge, jnana chakshu, they will understand this phenomena. Otherwise, others are all fools. Foolish, they will not be able to understand all this. Yes, please. Sunaina Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. The endeavoring transcendentalists who are situated in the self-realization can see all this clearly. But those whose minds are not developed and who are not situated in self-realization cannot see what is taking place, though they may try. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So what Lord Krishna is trying to explain to us here, he says just acquiring knowledge is also not sufficient. It must be in proper direction also. So what happens is we are all humans, right? So we have our own way of thinking. Our approach is very different. We use our material senses. We don't have jnana chakshu. So what do we do? This is the sense I have. Okay, I will use this to understand God. We will be able to understand God with this? No, we won't be. So we will decide on our own. This is the knowledge I have got, and we get that ego. I have all the knowledge in the world, and we try to use our intellect. This is all material, right? So we want to decide what is correct, what is wrong in knowledge, according to our own experience of the divine. We don't have actual experience of the divine, but we want to do it. And we want to decide and perceive things by this kind of mind and this kind of senses. And we will say, what I cannot see is not existing. That's the natural tendency of the mind. It rejects things that do not fit in the frame of our beliefs. If I have some beliefs, if it fits into that, very good, that exists. If it is not there, I will not believe it. Whether it is scientific, philosophical belief of our time, whatever it may be. Even the scientists who are doing it, they're also human beings. They also willingly believe that facts that cannot be explained, whatever theories they are coming up with, and it cannot be explained, they say it does not exist only. So there are so many, like even I say telepathy, still the scientists are looking into it. They say it's illusion. So here Srila Prabhupada explained in his purport, he says that, such people are called, it's called a Dr. Frog philosopher, that kind of thinking. Kupa Manduka Nyaya means the logic of the well frog. How? Srila Prabhupada explains that it is like a frog which has been living within the well, inside the well, the walls of the well. He's not aware of the world outside. So once it was told, you know what, there is a huge ocean beyond it and it's very, very huge. So the well frog said, okay, it must be 5 times bigger than my well. So he was told, no, 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 the ocean is much, much bigger. It is, well, it's gigantic, it's enormous, it's enormous, very big. So the frog from the well did not believe it. He said, no, how can it, you are such a liar. What are you saying? How can any place be so much bigger than my well? So the well frog was actually living there its whole life, entire life. It had not seen anything beyond the well. So it did not get that, its mind was not able to comprehend the idea, understand the idea, believe that there is something called a vast ocean, or the world, there is a world existing outside of the well also. Same way, scientists, you can say, all we materialistic people or we human entities, we cannot perceive that there is the idea of an external, world, some world, spiritual world beyond our realm, or there is something called eternal soul. We are not able, because we have limited experience, limited knowledge, limited understanding. We cannot perceive that there is entire spiritual universe, 3/4 of it is entire spiritual universe, and 1/4 is this. It's beyond our understanding. So those who have taken the path of spirituality, they will slowly, they get jnana chakshu, divine, those gurus, great gurus, and they endeavor to purify their hearts. And then with humility, with lot of faith, with guru, they cleanse their mind completely and experience the presence of the soul. Then the knowledge of the scriptures becomes very clear to them. Then they understand. We will not be able to understand with the kind of material perspective that we have. So what to do? Let's be cool-headed. Let's be humble. Let's be submissive devotee of the Lord. Let's try to hear Shravanam. Let's try to hear so much again and again and again about the Lord. Try to hear about the Lord from bona fide spiritual master. Serve the Lord in according to all 9 processes of devotional service. Then maybe he will grant his mercy upon us and give us some kind of jnana chakshu to be able to understand the other realm and about the eternal soul. So let's see what Lord Krishna has to say in the next verse about recognizing the existence of God. Gama vishyacha bhutani dharayam yaha mojasa ushnami chaushadi sarvaha somo bhutva rasatmakaha. Hare Krishna. Manohar Prabhuji, would you like to read? Hare Krishna. If not Manohar Prabhuji, Sri Devi Mataji, Hare Krishna. Now, Charu Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
I enter into each planet, and by my energy, they stay in orbit. I become the moon and thereby supply the juice of life to all vegetables.
Hare Krishna. So what is Lord telling over here? He is the one who created the universe. He says, Gama Vishyacha Bhutani. Gama is the planets. And Dharayam ya Ojasa. Ojasa is his energy. I am the one who has created this earth with my energy. That's what Lord Krishna is trying to tell us. So, you know, here I always talk about the ocean water, the comparison of how ocean water is so salty. We always wonder, right? We can wonder why ocean water is so salty. God could have made the ocean water with fresh water, but no, there is a reason behind it. If he had made it a fresh water, the ocean water, then it can become a breeding ground for diseases. So because there is so much of high salt content in it, it's not easy for, you know, disease causing microorganisms to sustain, to live. They cannot survive in that. So they cannot live, right? Similarly, there are various phenomena happening around the material existence. We don't know. There are so many, because of all that, this it is making the earth inhabitable to variety of species, both, you can say, movable, unmovable living beings, right? I read that about the scientists saying that if the physical properties of our universe was any different from what it is right now, we would not be able to live on this earth. Not at all. That's why Lord Krishna is very clearly saying, Somo Bhutva Rasatmakaha. Moonlight, Soma is moon. So moonlight gets its nourishing properties from Lord Krishna. And it's the nectar of the moonlight is something that is nourishing the entire plant life, all the vegetables, fruits, herbs, etc. Srila Prabhupada explains in his purport. He says, human society is working, living comfortably, enjoying all the food, grains, everything. It's because of the Lord, Supreme Personality of Godhead. Otherwise, we won't be able to survive at all. And Rasatmakaha means what? He's making it palatable. Everything becomes palatable. Everything becomes delicious by the influence of the moon, which is getting its energy from Lord Krishna. He says, Gama Vishyacha Bhutani Dharayam Ya Ojasa. It is my energy. That is how the planets are there. I am supplying the energy to the moon also, by which all the vegetables and fruits we are eating are getting from there, from the moon. So further he says, Aham Vaishwanaro Bhutva Praninam Deham Ashritaha Pranapana Samayuktaha Pacham Annam Chaturvidham. Hare Krishna. Gauri Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji. I am the fire of digestion in the bodies of all living entities, and I join with the air of life, outgoing and incoming, to digest the 4 kinds of foodstuffs.
Yeah,
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna. So what are the 4 kinds of foodstuffs? 4 kinds of foodstuffs are like, we eat Chaturvidham. Chaturvidham is Pacham, Annam, Chaturvidham. So Chaturvidham means 4 types. Annam means food. So to digest 4 kinds of foodstuffs, it can be categorized like Bhojya, which means we chew, like bread and roti and all we chew. Then Pay. Pay means liquidish. We drink, like juice, milk and all that. Then comes Koshya. Koshya means what? Something that we suck. We suck like sugarcane, we'll suck the juice. And Lehya means something that we lick it, like honey and all, those kind of things. So Chaturvidham, he is saying, Lord Krishna. And Lord Krishna says that he is the one. He is Aham Vaishwanaro Bhutva. I am the one. I am the fire of digestion. Vaishwanaro, I am igniting by it. It's the digestive system. It is ignited because of the power of God. What do scientists say? Organs of digestive systems are there. There is a stomach, there is a gallbladder, there is pancreas and what all not there. And it is secreting some digestive juices, and that is enabling the digestion of the food in living. All that system we learn in our science classes. What is Lord Krishna revealing over here? Lord Krishna's revelation over here is, he's suggesting, he's saying that such an approach is not right. What is Lord Krishna saying? It is God's energy. Aham Vaishwanaro Bhutva, God's energy which fires up the digestive process in the living beings. So we have understood so far, Lord Krishna is one who is supporting all the aspects of our life. You can see from previous verses also. With his energy, is making the planets and the earth habitable, nourishing all the vegetation, igniting the gastric juices, gastric fire in us, so that we can digest the food. Supreme Personality of Godhead is the digestive force for how many kinds of food stuff?
4.
4.
Hare
4.
Krishna. Yes, true, correct.
4 Mataji. D.
Yes, Mataji. So because these are quite important verses, so I've just put it like that. Aditya Gatam Tejo means he is the splendor of the sun. Kama Vishyacha Bhutani, he is maintaining the planets. Krishnami Chaushadhi Sarva, he is supplying the juice of life to all vegetables. He is Vaishwanara, is the fire of digestion. Pranapana Samayukta Pacham Annam, he is digesting the food stuff by outgoing and incoming air. Because these are very important, so I just tried to revise them once more. Fire in the stomach is the dash of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Fire is what? Fire is
Cause.
Is a representative, no? Is representing the God. The fire in the stomach is the representative of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It's representing the Lord Krishna. Sarvasya chaham hridi sannivishto matta smritirjnanam apohanam cha vedaishta sarvairahameva vedyo vedanta krit veda videva chaham. Hare Krishna. Sushma Mataji, would you like to read?
Hare Krishna Mataji. I am seated in everyone's heart, and from me come remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. By all the Vedas am I to be known. Indeed, I am the completer of Vedanta, and I am the knower of the Vedas. Hare
Hare Krishna. So I am the compiler of Vedanta. I am the knower of the Vedas. We have understood that he is saying that I am in everybody's heart. I'm seated. You can see in the screen. He's there in everybody's heart, right? And he's given us the ability to of memory, have so much of memory, so much of knowledge, right? So we can compare our mind and our intellect to be the software, and the brain is considered to be the hardware. So this mechanism of the brain, it's beyond our understanding, right? How it, and we cannot understand how it works. So Lord Krishna is saying that he has given us the power of even forgetting the past. So like how in the computer system, we have software, hardware, and then we have some records, some files we do not want. So what do we do when we don't want those files? We delete it from the computer, right? Similarly, even living beings, we wipe off unwanted memories with the help of Lord. Otherwise, what would happen? Like files, if there are so many files in our computer, the computer crashes. If there are so much of memory in our head, then our the whole thing will crash, right? Information overload. So other than the knowledge that is already there in our hardware and software, already some knowledge is there from lifetimes it's coming, right? So what else we can get? How can we get more knowledge? There has to be another source. So Lord Krishna says, by all Vedas am I to be known. So another source of the knowledge is scriptures, Vedas. So Lord says he is the creator, he is the knower, and he is the writer of the Vedas. Lord Krishna is saying he's the compiler of Vedanta, right? He is the author of the Vedanta, and he says he is Vedakrit. Vedanta Krit, Vedavit. Vedanta Krit means what? Is the author of the Vedanta. And Vedavit is the knower of the meaning of the Vedas. He knows everything. We don't know. He knows everything. He says, even though Vedas tell a lot about both material world, spiritual world, everything, but ultimate objective is to know him. What is the purpose? Why are we doing so many pujas, ceremonies, everything? We do that so that at least by doing that, we are kind of luring back the people from the material world. For a while, we come into that spirituality, we come into spiritual world, right? We are doing all the mantras, puja, we make all sattvic food that day, no onion, garlic is used, and everything is very clean, and we take bath and everything is done, right? It is just to bring us back from material world to spiritual world. And the forgetfulness that God has given, it's is grace. It is saving us from so many pains. Otherwise, if we would have learned that past life somebody had hurt me, or somebody had killed me, or somebody had taken so and so from me, this life would become very miserable, right? So when we do something for others, many times what happens? We want to get credit. And when others do for us, we think, okay, it's their duty. And Lord is doing so much for us. He's doing everything for us. He is, supplying us everything. So far, we have learned he's doing so much for us. And what is he expecting in result? He wants just us to come back to back home. Come back. I just want your love. That's it. Unconditional love. He's not wanting anything from us. So what is that love called, where you don't even want anything from other person? That's unconditional. So let's see what Lord Krishna is going to talk about other people. What kind of people he is going to talk about? Let's see that. Yes, Shakya Mataji, would you like to read?
Hare Krishna Mataji. There are two classes of beings, the fallible and the infallible. In the material world, every entity is fallible. In the spiritual world, every entity is called infallible.
Continue.
Besides these two, there is the greatest living personality, the Lord Himself, who has entered into these two worlds and is maintaining them.
Hare Krishna. So what Lord Krishna is talking about here? Two kinds of beings. One is Kshar, and Kshar means what? Perishable. They will be gone. And Akshar, imperishable. So whoever is in this material realm, in this world, they are perishable. They will be dead, right? We have to die. And those who are liberated from this, they are imperishable. All souls are eternal overall in this material realm, wherever it is. All souls are eternal. It is Maya which is binding the soul into this material body. From whether you call an ant or cockroach or human body, devata, whoever it might be. We are all embodied souls. We are all kshar, means perishable. Because we have to go through the cycle of birth and death. Lord Krishna is speaking about God, the supreme divine personality, Paramatma. Paramatma is infallible, or it is akshar, means it is imperishable. So individual soul is very tiny. It is in this body. It is residing in this body. But who else is residing in the body? The supreme soul. The kshar and akshar, both are residing in this body. And this akshar is continuously constant companion of this individual soul in every life, right? Like, for example, in a particular birth, if the soul takes a birth of a dog or a cat, the supreme soul also will be inside that dog's body or the cat's body, and it will continue to give note down the karmas and give the results of that karma based on whatever past karmas we have done. So you can understand by this, even the dogs, they also get different homes, destinies, you can say. Some dogs are born on the streets. They are lying there famished. They don't get anything to eat. And one day, some truck, some lorry hits them, and they say, "Kutte ki maut mar gaye." That's what there is a phrase in Hindi. Some dogs are like that. They die in misery. And whereas some, they're living very comfortably. They're living in lavish mansions. They're having a very dainty life. Like they're even the servants of the king cannot sleep on king's bed, but the dog is sleeping next to the king. You can imagine. So the huge difference in destiny is how it is due to the stockpile of karmas from their previous births. So they must have done something good to get that kind of life, but something bad to get a dog's life. So these are all beyond our understanding. So the supreme soul is accompanying this soul in various births, in different species. He keeps on granting us results based on our karmas. So let's see now. Anupriya Mataji, would you like to read?
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Because I am transcendental, beyond both the fallible and the infallible, and because I am the greatest, I am celebrated both in the world and in the Vedas as that supreme person. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So Krishna is very clearly telling, I am the greatest. What else do we need? Srila Prabhupada explains in his purport. It's very incorrect of us to think that Supreme Lord and living entities are both same. They are all equal. They are equal in Aham Brahmasmi, they say, right? I am only God. That is not true at all. Because Krishna is saying, I am the greatest. There is always going to be the question of superiority and inferiority between their personalities, right? Because here it is said, Atosmi loke vedecha pratitaf purushottama. Purush uttama means what? It's very important point that he is the greatest. Nobody can surpass him. He is the supreme personality of Godhead. So we have to understand from this, when he's saying he is the supreme person, even though we are fallible creatures, we can still achieve all the success. We can go back to Godhead. Just follow the footsteps of, become a follower of Supreme Personality of Godhead, the most supreme, the greatest, perfect person, Lord Krishna, and we will reach there. So let's see further. Here it is written over there. I'll try to read this from Brahma Samhita. Shiram yatha dadi vikara vishesha yogat sanjayate nahi tatha prithak asti hetu yafsham bhutam api tatha samupaiti karyat govindam adi purusham tam aham bhajami. So Manohar Prabhuji, would you like to read this? Surena Mataji, Charu Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Just as milk is transformed into curd by the action of acids, but yet the effect of curd is neither same as nor different from its cause, was milk. So I adore the primeval Lord Govinda, of whom the state of Shambhu is a transformation for the performance of the work of destruction. Hare Krishna.
So what is explained over here is Lord Shiva. He is the greatest Vaishnava, topmost Vaishnava. Lord Shiva is Lord Krishna's greatest devotee. The devotees of Lord Krishna, they completely respect, honor, and they look up to Lord Shiva because he's got such great qualities, exalted qualities. He's got the exalted status in the hierarchy of beings. In Brahma Samhita, it is mentioned very clearly over here that Lord Govinda manifests himself as Guna Avatara in form of Lord Shambhu. That is very clear that Shiva has been considered to be like yogurt, dahi. Yogurt is what? Nothing, but the milk is transformed. That's it. But yogurt, you cannot say it's milk. Even though yogurt has come, it has transformed from milk, but you cannot say yogurt is milk. It cannot be accepted as milk. If I say I want a glass of milk, you cannot drink yogurt and say, oh, okay, it has transformed, so you drink this. No. So Lord Shambhu, who is a separated portion of Govinda, he has also got this principle of his subjected plenary portion. He is Krishna's, Govinda's plenary expansion only portion. His personality is like having a destructive principles, tamoguna, right? He is the annihilator in form of time when it comes Kala Rupa. Shambhu is identified in spiritual evidences also we have seen. We have seen in spiritual evidences that Shambhu is the one who kills. So we have to understand that he is Lord, he is nobody but Lord's Guna Avatara only. And whenever they want to go, they have to go, be there. And you can see how all of them have to cross the ocean of milk to be able to meet. They all pay their obeisances to Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yo mamevam sammudho janati purushottamam sa sarvavidha bhajati mam sarva bhavena bharata. Yes, who will want to read? Gauri Mataji, would you like to read?
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Whoever knows me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead without doubting is to be understood as the knower of everything, and he therefore engages himself in full devotional service, O son of Bharata. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So there should not be any doubt, you know. So there are three ways of realizing God. Brahmeti, Paramatmeti, Bhagwaniti, Shabdete. We know that. So whoever is the knower of the truth, we all know that he is one supreme entity. He is manifesting in three ways. We cannot say there are three gods. He is manifesting in three ways. The effulgence, the Brahman. And then there is Paramatma, who is situated in Narayana form in our heart. And then there is Bhagavan. It does not mean that the three are different entities. Lord is saying, I am one. There should be no doubt about it. As water exists in nature, it exists as ice, it exists as water, it exists as steam. They have different physical properties, but are forms of the same substance, which is water. Likewise, God also exists in three forms. Brahman, the formless, four-handed form, Paramatma, two-handed form, Bhagavan. So whoever are the followers of Jnana Yoga, they worship God as Brahman Roop, formless Roop. Those who are following Ashtanga Yoga, they are seeking God as Paramatma, the Narayan form, and the Supreme Soul, which is residing in the hearts of all living entities. And Lord Krishna says, those who know him as Supreme Personality of Godhead, they worship him as Bhagavan. They have complete knowledge of him, says Lord Krishna. So we have understood that it is formless Brahman, four-handed form Paramatma, and two-handed form Divine Personality of Godhead. So Bhagavan is more personal because he is two-handed form, and it can be considered to be the sweetest among this form, because formless we don't know where to look for. Paramatma form we may not relate because he's four-handed form. When it comes to two-handed form, he manifests as person and performs so many leelas and all. So the devotees love him love this form and immerse themselves in the divine bliss. How God told in chapter 12 also, right? He said, Maya Veshyamano Yemam Nityayukta Upasate Shraddhaya Parayo Petaha Time Yukta Tamamataha. He said that those whose minds are completely engaged in my personal form, they worship me with great, in faith. They are considered to be the most perfect by me. So let's move on to the next one. Iti guhyatamam shastram idamuktam maya nagha etat buddhva buddhiman syat kritakritascha bharata. Manohar Prabhuji, you have raised your hand. Would you like to read? Or who else would like to read? Shakya Mataji, would you like to read?
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
This is the most confidential part of the Vedic scriptures, O sinless one, and it is disclosed now by me. Whoever understands this will become wise, and his endeavors will know perfection.
Hare Krishna. So Lord Krishna is saying that this, whatever I am telling you right now, iti guhyatamam, this is most confidential, Arjuna. I am giving you the gist of all the hidden knowledge that is there in the Vedic scriptures. So that is why they say, no, if you are reading Bhagavad Gita, no need to read scriptures. It is giving us so much, because Lord himself is saying, I'm giving you the gist of all the hidden knowledge of the Vedic scriptures, whatever is there, because Vedic scriptures sometimes for people like us, very difficult to understand. So he is giving us the gist from the description of how this whole nature of the world is, what is the difference between matter and the spirit soul, how we can realize the absolute truth, how we can, what is Brahman realization, Paramatma realization, Bhagwan realization. Lord Krishna is assuring Arjuna that whoever adopts this knowledge will be very much enlightened, and their deeds, whatever they are doing, their endeavors will be fruitful, and it will lead us towards the spirit. By doing spiritual sadhana, we will be able to realize the absolute truth, or we can get God realization. So the process is devotional service, and wherever devotional service will be there, definitely, slowly, the contamination of our mind, the material contamination will reduce. It won't be there anymore. So the most confidential understanding of the Vedas is that Lord Krishna is the supreme being. He is the one who should be worshipped. And if we can always remember this, then our life will become perfect. So chapter 15, temporary home or permanent home. Temporary is a hotel, permanent home. Material world is temporary like a hotel, and spiritual world is our home. One who understands this is the knower of Vedas. Spiritual world or material world, we have seen the characteristics of the spiritual world, where Lord says, Natat bhasayate surya na shashanko na pavaka. He says it is not illumined by sun or moon, and we need not pay electricity bill also. Then characteristics of the material world is what? Shariram yadavapnoti yattaputkamati ishvaraha, means we have to carry on different conceptions of life from one body to another. Our lost connection to Krishna is Mame Vamsho Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatana, means what? We are all his eternal fragmental parts. We have understood that much. Then Krishna is the maintainer of all worlds, right? What does he say? He says, Gama Vishyacha Bhutani Dharayam Yaja Ojasa, means his energy. Because of his energy, we are able to do. Then he also says that he is Vaishwanaro Bhutva, he is the fire of digestion, right? We have understood that also. Then essence. What is the essence? That we have to understand that fallible living entities, independently, they want to enjoy in this and they remain in this material world. Infallible always wants to be with Krishna, never leave the spiritual world. And Krishna is beyond fallible and infallible. So we must worship God with complete surrender. Tomorrow we'll be doing chapter 6. What is that? Devasur Sampad Vibhaga Yoga. It is about divine and demoniac qualities. Very interesting. So Vancha Kalpatarubhyashcha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you, everyone.